What's up, worldwide Masters Universe fans around the world? E-Daddy here, Glenn, coming to you live from my mysterious cave. And welcome to the first ever episode of, well, you know what? I don't have a name for it yet other than we're just going to call this episode A Fan's Awakening. Oh, crap. Always whenever I'm going live. With this being the first ever episode here on YouTube, it might not be that long, but we're going to do it anyways. The whole purpose of what we're getting ready to do here is it's a public opinion piece by me, my opinion, about different Masters Universe figures that we've gotten over the years, over time. If I get new stuff, I'll do a video on it. I'm not going to sit there and be all nice about crap because it ain't me. I'm going to go through and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about it. In other words, if I think it's great, I'll tell you. If I think it's garbage, I'll tell you. So I'm not going to sit around and tell everybody, man, this is all great, while it's being all jacked, while it's all jacked up and shit. It ain't my style. So, that's what we're going to get into. We're going to get into the differences over these videos. We're going to go over what's the differences in between what we got from Super 7, what we're getting from Mattel. And by the way, so it said right now, I'm not being paid by either company. No, Cave Dweller, I'm not going to be a Pixel Dan clone. I'm going to speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And somebody like him, he can't handle the truth. I'm probably gonna get sued for using that line without public permission, but I don't care. All right, so this first one, we're gonna take a look at a few things. Like I said, from episodes from here on out, it'll be about specific figures. I'll cover one each time. And I'll have, what I have at my disposal as far as showing you guys about everything. But today, we're going to talk about, we're going to do this whole Mattel Super 7 differences and stuff. First off, one of my favorites and several of my friends' favorites will be the old winged warrior of the skies in the universe. And it will be Stratos. Now, first off, notice I've got one here that came from Mattel. This one here came from Super 7. That's something that they did for a PowerCon exclusive. So, anyways, the one we got from Mattel, and yes, I got his staff here because I usually keep it on him in my collection, even though the staff came with another character. But anyways, to me, the detail and everything that Mattel did, and I got to get this over so I can see everybody's stuff. No, Cave Dweller. Aaron Johnson had nothing to do with it. And trust me, this whole thing is not going to be about Stratos, okay? So bear with me for a minute. You look at the way Stratos was done. His wings were done. His feathers were done. It was great, Very true to what we got vintage-wise. Okay, not a problem. The Super 7 version, we got the mini comic variant, or from like early stories, and whenever I do the Stratos only special, oh, okay. Now I know who you are. All right, Ruddy. Look at this. Like, why don't I just go through and just put real fucking feathers on him? That's about how flimsy the crap is. I mean, don't get me wrong. They did a great job the way they made him look, but they could have done so much more with the damn armor and stuff like that. I mean, hell, Mattel did for years. Super 7, they can't do it. Let's take a quick look at, we're going to go with some of these classics figures. Yes, I brought Triclops along. I know, that's true. The 2000 X Stratos, and at some point I'm going to have to get one for whenever I do my Stratos episode. And I can promise you right now, episode 2 will not be about Stratos. But let's look at, for the classics line, what Mattel gave us. All right. The weapons, good and sturdy. The parts, if they had accessible parts, they worked. The armor, good, solid rubber, hard rubber pieces that you didn't feel like were going to break or get easily torn. Yeah, occasionally you had a problem with the way the shoulders and everything looked, but it was fine. They admitted to it. They went through and they tried to fix their shit. Okay, they did have some issues with some of the ankles. I think my Triclops is one of the ones that has an issue with ankles. I'm not wanting to stand properly most of the time. But you know what? It happens. And where he's leaning back like he's trying to shove his crotch out in the open. That's one thing I don't like about my Triclops I got, because of the way he stands. But you know what? It's all fine. Also, I didn't see nothing wrong with the way the paint was. Sculpt was. Like I said, we didn't have no problems with it. Mattel had it down great. This is very true, Ruddy. He did, Mattel did have eye issues from time to time. And as I go on in episodes, I'm going to point this out, especially Super 7's issue with wonky eye figures. Now, we get to Super 7's versions of classics, and I don't have any of the Wave 2 classics figures yet. I am waiting on one to arrive. Hopefully I should have it in the next week. But, so for this, I decided I was going to grab Fangor and Lodar for this. Now, right off the bat, yes, the sculpting was great. Lodar looked like he did on the Slave City mini comic issue. Okay. Love the way it looked. And if I was one of those collectors that kept my stuff in the box, we wouldn't be having this video show up. But I unboxed him. Now, the weapons look great. Super 7 did something that Mattel didn't, and that was with the click joints on the elbows, the shoulders, knees, and the ankles, which was a nice touch, as long as everything worked properly. And I've got some figures that they don't work properly. But like the head itself, you start to notice, you can feel a difference between what materials were made or were used to make the figures that Super 7 gave us compared to what we got from Mattel. You can seriously tell a difference. But then you get to the armor. It's all spongy feeling and very loose and wobbly, and kind of like came up with Stratos from the Power Comics exclusives. You worry that it's going to rip. Now, while this is one of the rare figures that Super 7 gave us, they gave us removable armor. Had to look there for a minute just to make sure. You know, they still gave us that removable armor. It was great. There's some figures that we can't do that with. Once again, another subject we will touch upon at another time. And we get to Fangor, and he also had the removable armor. Now, his armor, and this was what was weird, was what Super 7 gave us. Like Lodar versus what we got here with Fangor here. Lodar had really cheap, rubbery feeling armor. This right here feels more like what we got from Mattel. It was great. You know, once again, we had the clicking, you know, pieces, all the joints, knee joints, ankle joints, shoulders, elbows, that kind of stuff. You know, and even on the head, it was great. I really wish I'd grabbed the spare head so I could show you exactly what I'm talking about, and I don't think I can find it quick enough because I had it sitting off to the side and somebody put it up. Yep, here it is. You know, on the teeth, you know, if they felt fine. And that's 2 Super 7's figures. Okay? They did great with the stuff that they gave us on one. Kind of dropped ball a little bit on the other one. They made them both look great, but they did drop ball a little bit. Now, trust me, I'm not done on this part here. Maybe I should name this Mattel versus Super 7. Now, we'll go on to Mattel. Gave us multiple versions of Skeletor. And Super 7, they released the Ultimates that also gave us a Skeletor in it. Now, what did I notice? Difference between the two. Other than the fact that, in all honesty, I mean, with the Super 7 Ultimates, we did get a variation as far as we got a Keldor head with it, Kala style Skeletor head with it. A lot of differences, but let's look at the Mattel one first. I had to double check and make sure this was a Mattel one. Where I picked him up. You know, we got what we're accustomed to. You know, yeah, didn't have any of the clicking joints. But you know what? He stands. Maybe I ought to fix that a little bit. See, look, he stands. Stands fine. The Super 7, now they hadn't started on what they did with their classics figures or their Filmation figures, and I will be getting to those. But you know what? We had a little bit of a shoddy work on some of the joints and crap. You know, I know my He-Man had a problem standing up. Skeletor here, he's got that issue. In fact, I think the only way he manages to stay standing up is if he's leaning on his cape. There was the one big difference from what we got Mattel-wise, Super 7-wise. I mean, they went in a lot more detail on it, especially with the claw, you know, the web feet, clawed feet, and all that. It was great, but you know, there were still some issues there. Overall, though, not too bad. I can't complain too much about that. Now we will go to the Filmation figures that we got from both Mattel and Super 7. Now, anybody that knows me on Facebook knows that I've had a lot of issues with the way these figures come out looking when it came from Super 7. And as a collector who joined in on the collecting the classics figures, anything Mattel has been giving us since 2008, and what Super 7 gave us. I kind of got into the game on that because I was more of a vintage guy. I enjoyed what I always had with vintage, what we got with vintage. So, first off, and Ruddy, you're going to have to remind me because I've honestly forgotten. I'm always going to refer to these as Club Grayskulls, and I'm pretty sure that's what Mattel was calling them. And if anybody out there wants to fill me in some more, they can. But I grabbed Beastman because he was the closest one for me to grab a hold of. Now, with Mattel's figures for their Club Grayskull line, they did a great job making them just look like their Filmation counterparts that we had in the cartoon back in the day. Now, armor and everything looks great, Now, this is where I started noticing a little bit of differences, or noticing something. And Beastman was a perfect example here. Mo's favorite. Okay, it was Club Grayskull. Thank you very much, Rudman. Anyways, how it's got, you can tell they just, most any other figure, this whole thing right here would have been solid. His armor piece, it'd have been solid. This right here, you can push in on it almost like a rubbery pillow. One thing I did not care for that Mattel did with these is the way their feet is, and having where they can twist sideways and stuff, like they have a broken ankle. And a lot of times that's one of my issues, trying to get them to stand up. But you know what? The rest of the armor on him, solid rubber pieces. The weapons came out looking great. They did a great job with them. I've never, in any of the Filmation versions that I got from Mattel, I never had really an issue with the way they looked. Any kind of paint splotches, mispaints, crooked eyes. Yeah, I'm going to say double checking. Stuff like this, it looked great. The armor on Beastman here had something that just really didn't roll with me too much, but we'll cover that one in a different episode whenever I get around to doing Beastie at a different standard. Now, so there was a limited amount of figures that Mattel did as far as the Club Grayskull line goes. Super 7 takes over the line. And when they did their Wave 1 Classics, they also did a Wave 1 Club Grayskull. Yes, that is true. That is very true, Ruddy, about the fact that the eye issue, yes, was on quite a few of the Princess of Power figures. And like I said, in time, we're going to get around to those wholeheartedly, because I'm going to try to do what some bios that we know did try to do, and with time and everything, he don't do it anymore, is go over each one of these figures like one by one. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, because one of my favorites, and I get to pull this out of here. There it is. Came from Wave 1 Super 7 Club Grayskull. Technical issues. I'll clean that up later. So one of the most favorite figures we all lost you. One of the favorite figures we had to deal with was Mr. Triclops here. Now, while they did make him look like he did in the Filmation cartoons, one, we had an issue with the coloring of his armor, the bright green. A lot of us had that issue, and I will discuss that more in detail when I get around to doing the Triclops figures. Yes, there were some issues there. There was some issues with the paint job that was done on here, and I think I had some of the same issue. You know, some of the paint chipped on him. You know, and that's, you know, what everybody pays for. You know, yeah, we're expecting perfection. Didn't happen. But a lot of us here in the States got a Filmation head that did not turn. No matter what you did, it just wouldn't turn. Exactly. Mr. Rudman, you were very true. That Triclops was a bait and switch. We were promised something with darker armor. You were right. And it's something that I was looking up about. But anyways, the head, we were promised it was supposed to spin. We were shown in videos it was going to spin. We got them and no. We had to go through and heat these things up, pop the visor off, scrape the glue or paint whatever was on the inside of here, and fix them back. And then they just didn't look right. Now, for anybody that ordered the Wave 1s from Super 7, then they turned around and they ordered the Wave 2s, we got a replacement head for him that did, in fact, turn. A little rough on the turning, but it still turns. And it's great that it's actually fairly tight on turning because the way it's not spinning off and crap. But it was great. We all enjoyed it. It's like, all right, awesome. And before going further, so for people that end up watching this, how I ended up with a spare head is actually from a gentleman by the name of Paul Rudman, who was kind enough to send me the replacement Triclops head. Still very much indebted to him for that one. Now I looked at the instructions for replacing this one, and it said to heat it up with hot water, you know, to where it gets a little soft, and pull the head off and put the other one on. Now, I don't know how many people followed those instructions, and if you did, I'm really curious on who all had this issue. And I know it's not going to probably pop up on here, even if I turn on this light. No, it just made things worse, light-wise. But what I seen was, it seemed like a discoloration started to happen on his arms, on his legs, where it started turning a little whitish in color. Now, I go through and I do a lot of custom figures, and my most popular method to take them apart is to soak them in real hot water to make them all soft and everything, be able to pull them apart. I have never had that issue at any point in time with anything I ever got from Mattel. Now, we get the Wave 2s, and I didn't want to pull out my favorite one to complain about for this. So I decided to pull out Merman instead, because I do like to complain about this one. Just not as much as another one. And for everybody that knows me, it's the Sorceress one. But I still had some issues here with Merman here. Now, while they did a great job with the sculpt, making him look like he did in the cartoon, and I did not have a problem with the weapons that come with him. He, much like a lot of the ones the Super 7's been giving us here lately, had the clicking joints in the knees, in the elbows, shoulders, but we didn't get it with the feet. Did not get it. Then there's the armor. And one is pretty stationary. They don't give you an access point to be able to go through and pop off the armor if you want. But once again, much like what we got with Stratos, real rubbery, looks like easily torn armor. I feel like I could use, if I got this thing off of him, I could use it as a damn slingshot. You know, we did not have this issue with Merman's armor with the classics version we got from Mattel. We did not have this issue, and I really wish I could find. Here's a one I was working on for a custom. This is Mattel's Merman Classics armor. You didn't have that spongy feel, solid hardened rubber. Yeah, the bottom piece of the chest thing, little bit, but you know what? You don't feel like you can sit there and do like this or like this, and it's going to tear apart. So, anyways, you know, we're getting a lot of figures being thrown at us. Not as much as we'd like from Super 7, but they're working on it. They really need to work on their quality control. They need to work on what they're giving us versus what they're showing us. And like I said, over the course of time, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do these. I'm going to specifically aim at a specific character every week or every show, to where I'm gonna give everybody some background about that character. I'm gonna go through, and if I've got the vintage version of that figure, I'm gonna show you all that one. Go over things with it. If I've got the 2000X one, I'll show you it. If I've got the vintage, or I've got the classics from Mattel, and if Super 7's put one out, I will do it. Show them both. Go over each figure. I'll review each one of them. Give you my honest opinions. So, with that being said, that's going to end the show for tonight. I promise you, after this one, I will not be complaining nearly. I better not say that, because then when I'm going to complain, I'm not going to sit here and complain about every one of them. There's going to be good things and bad things. And, okay. Also, Mr. Rudman, I see. Eric, did you see that Super 7 came out today and announced they're revamping their online customer service? I have not had a chance to see that today. In between dealing with family things, things with my business that I run, and trying to do everything, trying a bunch of things all together today. I've not had too much of a chance to. I will be looking at that later on. So hopefully next time I do an episode, I will be we will discuss that a little bit. So Yeah, I will be sure to take a good look at that. I'm glad you said something about that. I really did not have a chance to take a look at that, but I will be doing so. And I do want to make sure that everybody does know that I'm not going to be sitting here. I'm not going to bash Super 7 all the way. And it's not because I'm worried about them trying to sue me or trying to get me shut down here on YouTube or anything like that. No, no, no. I know they've got some good figures that they've released. And like I said with Fangor, I love the sculpt. I love what they did with it. It was awesome. You know, I didn't have an issue or complaint one about Fangor. You know, I loved what they did with Lodar, other than the armor. And so they've got their good and their bad. Unfortunately, sometimes it's going to seem like the bad's going to outweigh the good. This don't necessarily mean I'm going to be sitting here kissing up to Mattel either. Because while they give us a ton of great figures, they've had a lot of their issues too. And we're going to touch upon that. But for the next show, make sure everybody tunes in, because we're going to do one of my top 5 favorites, the Ram Man. Me, it was an awesome figure back in the day, and it still is today, even with what Mattel and Super 7 both did. So, make sure you catch the next one. If y'all want to find me on Facebook, all you gotta do is look up Eric Glenn on Facebook. You'll find me. If anybody's part of any of the groups I'm in on Facebook, you will find me there. I would like to go through and mention all these groups. However, I haven't had a chance to go through and check to see if it's cool that I mention them all on Facebook. So I'm not going to do it this time. Hopefully by next episode, I will be going through and saying, hey, you guys check out such group over on Facebook, this group on Facebook, so on and so forth. What I'm going to do from here on out, when I cover each one of these figures, I'm going to go through and I've got the whole Dark Horse catalog here. I hate when things pop up on my screen. We're going to talk about what each figure's about, some of the artwork we've seen in some of this, what all he was involved in as far as in the comics, in like the mini comics, the newspaper strips, which when I come find out, nothing. We're going to go through what all, episodes he's in for the Filmation cartoon back in the day. That's what we're going to do for each and every one of these figures I've got. And as I get new ones, you never know, I might go through and say, all right, you know what, I got this one last week, may unbox it here and so we can go through and review it. But next week, we're going to discuss the vintage and the Mattel and Super 7 versions of Ram Man. I would love to do the 2000X one. However, the only 2000X Ram Man I have is unfortunately this little dude right here from the McDonald's toys. That's it. And it would not be fair to judge a 2000X figure off of something McDonald's gave us. But you never know. I might get one between now and then. So that's it for this week. Y'all, keep supporting everything MOTU. Even if we're not enjoying it, keep in mind, you're not alone. But we're going to go through and look at all this together. Mr. Rubin, yes, if you could do that, I would deeply appreciate it. Which I will, at some point in time, I will discuss on why I don't have a whole lot of the 2000X figures. And I got a feeling that a lot of you are going to have the same feeling that I do on why we don't have a whole lot of 2000X figures. Unless our name is Miss Chipwich. That being said, I'm Eric Glenn. This is my opinion about the figures. And from here on out, we're going to go through each and every one of them that we can. So that being said, peace out. I'm gone. Have a good night, y'all.